Hey, I found one more gem over here, way in the back. It's a GMC Cyclone. This one came with a supercharged 4.3. This one here is the SUV model. It's a Cyclone. It also came as a pickup truck, which was called the Typhoon, and it came with a 5-speed manual, same wheels, same trim kit. I'm assuming the same color packages. Now let's get it up in here. What we got here? Yeah, see, it's got a 4.3 turbo. It's a turbo, not supercharger. I thought it was supercharged, but it's turbo. Very good engine to work on. I'm not familiar with this intake, but this comes in there. Must be a turbo kick right over here. It's got a different exhaust manifold than the base one that I have, the 262 that I had. But everything else is pretty much the same. The evaporator, the fan motor, the blower motor. And, actually the upper intake looks the same too. Fuel injector rails. Of course, with this one, I don't know if they use spider popping valves on this one. Of course, there's nobody to help the bro when he's interested and want to find out about it. But, yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing as the other 262. Minus that turbo setup on the other side there. 1992. Because I know when you get these 4.3s, there's only 1 year that came as carbureted, and every other year that they made this engine, it was offered with fuel injection. This engine came out in the early 80s, like 1982 or 3. 4.3 came out and was carbureted for the first year. And then it went to fuel injection, but several different styles of the same type of multi-port fuel injection. So there's several different types of intake manifolds and fuel injector rails for this. But the most desirable intake would be the one that's carbureted, because this 4.3 is generically the same thing as a 350. All of the engine components, they have the same part number. The water pump is the same part number. The bolts have the same part number. It is basically the son of the 350, missing cylinder number 3 and then cylinder number 7. So you can do all the things with a 4.3 that you can do with a 350. And as you can tell, this one being turbo, there's really no reason to beef up any of the main components, because it can handle it. Now, I gotta turn it off because the dude is playing some music, right? And he's playing Men at Work. And give me one of them Vegemite sandwiches. If you can find one of these, man, this is the second generation GMC. No, it's not the second. This is the second generation GMC on the S10 platform. This will be the 4th generation of the GMC Jimmy overall. But on the S10 platform, because this is 92 when they did a refresh in 91, and the platform came out in 83, I believe. So if you can get these, because when they did the refresh for the second generation, they also came out with a 4-door body style. Now you can't get a Cyclone in a 4-door, and you can't get a Typhoon as a 4-door. But these are great because they have a short wheelbase. See that wheelbase right there? That wheelbase has got to be like 100 inches, 96 inches, something like that. A little more than 96, I think. But let's say about 96 inches. And then there are 2 things you can do. What you could do is you can take the body off of the frame, box the frame, and then put it on a G-body. All right? You can put a G-body on this because the wheelbase is the same. Or you could take an X-body from the 70s, like a Chevy Nova, and put it on this chassis. You can put some other things on it, like Volare, which is the Chrysler F-body, and the Ford Falcon chassis, which would be the Falcon, the Maverick, and the Granada. You can put those on those chassis, but I'm saying is that the Ford and the Chrysler's a unibody, so there's no frame, but you can use the frame from this S10 Blazer, and then, you know, you can really do some real great things with it. For those of you with a G-body, you can take the steering knuckles off, and you could put those on the G-body because they use the front suspension geometry for this car and the G-body just the same. So everything is interchangeable, and actually this one allows you to use bigger brake rotors and bigger brakes than you're going to get in the G-body. And the same thing applies to the rear. These rear ends are not really that durable though, because these are 7 1/4 rear end, which will be the same for most of your G-bodies that came with a V6 engine. So not worth the time of day. What you would want to do is you want to change this rear end, the entire differential, the entire driveline. Get one from a Camaro, an IROC Z or a Corvette, because they'll have the same width of this right here and the G-body. And the Corvette's going to come with like a General Motors 10 bolt or 12 bolt. An IROC Z is going to come with like a 10 bolt, which would be like an 8 1/2, 8 3/4 rear end. So with that in mind, those are better options than this rear end right here. So I guess the dude stopped playing that Vegemite sandwich music, huh? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for those of you that are doing mods on GMs, this is the perfect car. I got it in the shot. Do I have it in the shot? Yeah, I got it in the shot. Yeah, this is right here. It's the Chevy S10. This is the perfect car for you to get all your ideas from when you want to do a mod on another General Motors car, because they didn't make them any better than this and this wheelbase and this width. Because with this width, like I said, it'll work with a lot of 70s era General Motors cars and 80s era General Motors cars too. And a lot of this stuff is going to be interchangeable, the steering components and the drive axle. Now the only thing is, like I said, on the rear end with this, if you get a Corvette or you get that Camaro, you know, Firebird Ram Air or Firebird Trans Am, Chevy IROC, Chevy Z28, Corvette CR1, something like that. It's going to have like the 8 3/4 rear end in it, you know, GM 10 bolt, 12 bolt, something like that. The only difference is those cars came with coil springs and this has leaf springs. So you may have to weld on some shackles or some mounts so you can use a suspension of your choice. But other than that, you know, you're good to go, man. All right. Now, I want some ice cream. There was an ice cream place over here. All right, guys, let me go get some ice cream and I'll wrap up later on.